Hi, everybody. My name is Whitney, and I am the media manager with Light 10. We are a partner of the GMDP Academy, the Academy of Global Medicine's Development Professionals. And today we are sitting down to hear from Peter Stonier, who is a big part of the Academy. So, Peter, can you tell us a little bit about how you're affiliated with the Academy and a little bit about your background professionally and where you currently reside?
Okay, thank you, Whitney. Yes, my name is Peter Stonier. I'm a pharmaceutical physician throughout my career, and I'm currently residing in London and in the UK, which is where I work mainly. I've spent many years in the pharmaceutical industry as a medical director of international and national companies. And this has led to then a career also as a consultant in pharmaceutical medicine, which is what I am at the present time, and a consultant pharmaceutical physician too. In parallel with my work as a medical director in the pharmaceutical industry, I was fortunate to have the opportunity to step outside the company and get involved in the wider aspects of the pharmaceutical industry in terms of education and training and professional development, and the development of staffs and teams and departments, and so forth. So I've had a lot of experience in that side of things, which boils down to these days in terms of being involved in education and training and in professional development, which is where I come to the Academy from King's, which is the partner of the GMDP, and this has been the case since the beginning. When we set up the program, the core program in the Academy of Medicines Development and Medical Affairs in medicines development, which was 7 years ago when we started this program. And I've been involved with the Academy on behalf of King's, really, as part of that partnership, ever since, throughout the what we might call the journey of the Academy in the last 7 years. And it has been a very rewarding and fulfilling experience, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of collaborating in this way with between King's and the professional organisation which is offering educational programs. And we are where we are today because of a close collaboration and shared values in terms of growing.
Can you tell us about the largest professional challenge that you have faced in your career in pharmaceutical medicine?
In my this was how many years ago now? 20 odd 30 years ago. 20 years ago, was getting the discipline of pharmaceutical medicine recognised as a medical specialty. But this is something that took a long time. There was a lot of hurdles to cross to have pharmaceutical medicine recognised as a distinct medical specialty. But eventually, after about 10 years work, really aiming towards this, we did achieve this in the UK and to date a couple of other countries in the European area. But for me personally, this was the biggest challenge of my career, was actually having the discipline that I was working in actually be recognised as a medical specialty, which brought with it lots of benefits in terms of recognition from peers, in terms of the ability to relate what we were doing in the pharmaceutical industry as doctors, relate this to more to other members of the medical profession operating outside in the health service. We were all then part of the same team with the same ethos. So the specialty of pharmaceutical medicine, was a great step forward for doctors who are working in that field, and has continued to be so. Although you do have to occasionally remind people of what was achieved in getting that recognition as a medical specialty.
So what I was going to ask, having been with the Academy so long, so since its inception, what do you feel like makes it unique? What makes the Academy stand apart?
Well, I think being unique is a bit of a difficult definition, of course, really, because somebody will object, I guess, to uniqueness. But I think the things that make the Academy stand out, and you could say being unique in this area of medicine's development, is that fact alone, that it's an academy which is dedicated to medicine's development and to medicine's developers. It is a global organisation, and it was set out to have global reach, which is also unusual. But this came about because of the development of online possibilities and virtual possibilities. Possibly something also accelerated in recent years by the COVID pandemic, which has further encouraged online activities, and to have this already available on a global basis is I guess pretty unusual. In addition, I think the collaboration between a professional education body and a university such as King's College London, and particularly that part of King's which is dedicated also to pharmaceutical medicine and medicine's development, which just happens that it's called the Centre for Pharmaceutical Medicine Research within King's, brings together two organisations which have a dedication towards medicine's development, medical affairs, and the education and training within that context. And I think also the other unique thing is that we within the Academy tend to accrue what you might call alumni after the training. So we also begin to develop a sort of longer term relationship with our students, alumni, and also have further developed in recent years a global fellowship foundation. So we now have the core elements of continuing membership of the Academy to take advantage of further educational opportunities and other offerings that the Academy will and does make in terms of professional development. So I think those aspects are make the Academy pretty unusual and possibly unique.
Can you speak a little bit about the Global Fellowship? That sounds pretty interesting.
Well, the Global Fellowship came about because we wanted to have within the context of medicine's development and a professional body representing medicine's development, a group of people who were considered to be senior and high achievers and people who were recognised as such amongst their peers within the world of medicine's development. And so we developed the concept of recruiting a cohort of global fellows who met the criteria for qualifications, for vocational qualifications and experience and achievement in medicine development, which made them recognizable by their peers as being eligible and deserving of the award of a global fellow in medicines development. This first cohort came along in 2020, and we from the nominations from our students and from others in and around the world of medicines development, we had many nominations for the global fellowship, and through the achievement of the getting them to meet the criteria for getting through to being nominated as a global fellow, we then ended up with something in the region of 120 global fellows from that first cohort. And this then led straight away to the idea of developing a second cohort. And this was achieved actually just this year in May, with a further 90 odd global fellows adding to the original cohort. So now we have something in the order of 200 global fellows, and we're very pleased that we now have this established as a foundation, because it has been going for 3 years now, and we would hope to build on this as we go forward with further cohorts of global fellows. This year we had a ceremony for admission of the global fellows in London, and we were able therefore to meet in person quite a number of the global fellows, and it was really a very exciting and distinguished event, which from which they got their awards of the Global Fellowship. And this was really brought to life the whole exercise of actually having within our organisation a group of people who could be considered to be senior, experienced, high achievers, and people who would really set an example for younger people coming through and developing their careers. In addition, we do have some expectations for our global fellows. It's not all just giving them an award and saying, here you are, hello. We would like them to feel that they belong to the Academy, to champion pharmaceutical medicine and medicines development as a profession, to communicate the intrinsic value of their award as a global fellow and what they can do with it, to promote further advancement of the profession of pharmaceutical medicine, connecting with peers and others to identify and nominate the next cohort of global fellows. It's very important that this comes from within the world of medicines developers, so that people have the opportunity to have their peers recognised in this way. And this internal selection and nomination of appropriate people for global fellows seems to us to be the right way to go about selecting those people who really are representative of medicines development at a senior level. We'd also like the global fellows to cultivate professional bodies and associations in pharmaceutical medicine and medicines development through membership or affiliation and support of the professional activities that take place. We live in a rather small world, and it's important that we have connectivity and networking opportunities, and that medicines developers throughout the world can come together, in this sort of way to make synergies and to help to develop medicines development, which ultimately is in the interest of patients. And finally, collaborating with the Academy's own programmes to both contribute to and to receive education from the Academy is again a good way for the global fellows to collaborate with the aims and ambitions of the Academy, but both by receiving and giving of their experience.
So it sounds like there is a real commitment on the part of the Academy to facilitate a global community of learners in medicine's development and to foster long-term professional relationships between them. That's not just spoken about, it's truly embedded into the nature of the programs that are offered.
I would agree with that. I think that could be a long-term aim. I mean, the original focus is to emphasize and highlight medicine's development and the importance of it as a tool within the world of medicine's development, not just the pharmaceutical industry, but the whole ecosystem which helps to produce new medicines for patients. It's important to recognize the role and the activities of people who actually are involved in developing in those medicines, and I think therefore that they will increasingly benefit from coming together as a group, particularly on an international level, to share experiences and to make synergies and to make good networking opportunities, so that we can enhance medicine's development as a discipline and a profession, with the aim of producing better medicines for patients. So I think that anything we can do to aid collaboration, to aid coming together as a group and actively doing things together, it has to be seen to be a good aim for the Academy and for its global fellowship, and therefore I think this is another justification for having not so much members, but having a fellowship there of people who have common aims and ambitions, and are able to share these with others and with younger people particularly. For example, we would hope through the Global Fellowship to introduce a mentorship program at some point, so that that we can really get to grips with the generational gap and helping younger people to come into medicine's development and to develop their careers in the appropriate way, given help and advice from seniors who've seen it all before. So I think this again is another facet of having a global fellowship, and maybe going back to one of your earlier points, it adds to the uniqueness of the Academy in being able to do this and expecting to have so much reward from it down the line on a long-term basis, as you say.
What impact do you see the Academy having in the future, or already having had, on medicine's development as a whole?
At the moment, the activities of the Academy have been to run its core program, which has been entitled Medical Affairs in Medicine's Development. So it's an emphasis on having the so-called students or the delegates to the program as people who are usually in the career pathway within medical affairs. So the focus has been on having students who wish to develop their careers in medical affairs, and to do this to benefit from the opportunities offered by continuing professional development, continuing medical education, whilst they're in the workplace developing their careers on the job as medical affairs professionals. So this, we hope, brings about a benefit from in the workplace from being on this program. And in fact, we've actually tried to measure the effect of the program on people who then go back to the workplace and continue to influence the development of medicines, but enlightened by what they've learned on this program. One would hope that there is some benefit that comes from education, and that this can be applied in practice to doing, if you like, understanding the role that has to be played, understanding better what needs to be done, and also how to do it. And in that way, in terms of medical affairs anyway, being able, for instance, to interact with stakeholders in the healthcare market, to help develop and introduce new medicines in the marketplace. Of course, we're talking from a scientific and clinical point of view. We're not talking here about commercialization. We're talking about an interaction with the market to ensure that medicines which are produced are utilized appropriately, and the feedback from their use comes back to the organization as insights for further development of the medicines. Medical affairs is really a complex strategic activity these days, which is directly involved in the medicines development process. And I think we have to ensure that people understand that, and that this is relatively new in the pharmaceutical world, and in fact, developing strategic medical affairs is a work in progress for many companies still. But we would hope there would be some effects of the educational program, which is really linked to the development of competencies and to the practice of pharmaceutical, of medicines, medical affairs and medicines development. It is not an academic taught program. It is an interactive, pragmatic and practical program covering the knowledge and the competences and the skills required to become an effective and productive medical affairs professional.
You're speaking to, it sounds like, the importance of continuing one's education and not just saying, I have this degree and I have this role and I'm finished learning. So the importance of continuous learning, specifically in medicine's development. Is there anything else that you can say about why that's important?
At the end of the day, I suppose my own career and those of many people who've been in the industry for a long time and actually continue their work almost throughout their lives, really, is an ethos of lifelong learning and of the need all the time to demonstrate that you're keeping up to date and that you're learning new things, and that you're, from a medical point of view, you are fit to practice. And to do this, you have to keep learning, and you have to keep demonstrating that learning is relevant to what you're doing in your job. And to be fair, this is what patients expect. They expect the professionals who develop and deliver their medicines to be appropriately and fully trained, and fit to practice and to do their jobs properly. And the least we can offer is that we can say that this is one of our aims, is to make sure that professionals working in areas such as medical affairs and the whole of medicine development are appropriately and properly trained to do their jobs, because this is not something that comes early on in one's academic career. Joining the pharmaceutical sector and joining the pharmaceutical industry brings very many and new challenges in terms of the knowledge that you need and the competences that you need to develop in order to do your job within medicines development. It's not something people experience outside of this this milieu of medicines development. You have to acquire the skills and the knowledge from within. So it's very much related to what you're doing in the workplace. It's very much related to your vocational training, if you like. And I'm not sorry to call it vocational training either. I think this is very much a part of what we're actually doing, which is actually relating the education and training very much to what is required in the workplace for people to do their jobs. And we're getting closer and closer to that as we develop these programs. That we're getting closer to fulfilling the needs of, for instance, employers who demand certain areas of skill and knowledge to be able to undertake their work. And this continues because it continues. For example, if with new developments in medicine, which are common and come upon one quite quickly. The example of moving from a chemical pharmaceutical industry to a biologically based pharmaceutical industry is just one example, and we're moving very quickly into the areas of biological medicine and areas such as cell and gene therapies. And we're not simply looking at developing small molecules anymore. We're looking at developing biological products, and this is a whole new paradigm of learning and experience and so forth within the medicines development arena.
Is there any advice that you would give to someone new to medicines development?
Yes, I would first of all say that when you join the pharmaceutical industry, when you join any aspect of medicines development, you're going to be faced with a fairly acute new learning situation, and you need to therefore allow some time to be able to familiarize yourself with this environment that you've moved into. So the first bit of advice is don't expect too much too quickly. You really need to accustom yourself to the environment that you're in and the professionals that you're working with, and all the product development programs and all of the work that goes on in the pharmaceutical sector is all new, and you have to get familiar with it. In addition, I would say the other bit of advice would be to as soon as possible join a professional body outside of the company, so that you can then begin to develop your career as you would elsewhere. You're not dependent completely on the company for your development. You can share your experiences with others. You can join a professional body which offers you educational opportunities and continuing development opportunities, and this should be seen as a positive thing to do, and rather than staying absolutely within the company walls and not looking out around the industry and around the profession and around the sort of opportunities that you could do, and also the opportunities that you can bring back into your own company from the discussions and the networking that you've had outside. All of this is extremely important and valuable, but often is not these days appreciated. Everybody's very busy, and often not enough time is given to these broader aspects of professional development and career enhancement. And I think this is a pity, and it would be a great piece of advice from me to anybody joining, that they should make sure they also have, an independent professional affiliation with a professional body. So that's two bits of advice. One is to give it time to settle into the work and to the company and to all the different stimuli that you're going to be receiving every day in terms of people and demands for work and different ways of working and so forth. And secondly, to recognise that you've made a professional switch normally and to join the pharmaceutical sector, and you should benefit from this by becoming part of the profession and joining a professional body to enhance what you're doing.